No matter how bright the flame burns, its fire has to diminish someday. Rafael Nadal may have been the #1 player according to ATP rankings for more than 200 weeks, but it looks like time is running out because the man may have just revealed that he might want to retire. Don't believe us? Well, the Spaniard just dropped the loudest hints of his retirement. Agassi, Borg, Connors, Chang. There's a never-ending list of tennis players who joined the list of Hall of Famers post their retirement. Now it seems, based on recent hints, that Nadal is all set to be on the same list of retired greats. And don't act so surprised, folks. We knew this was coming for a long time now. As much as we'd like to, we can't expect a man to play tennis for the entirety of his life. The 36-year-old has already been playing for over 20 whole years. He started at the age of 15. Most of us didn't even know how to sign our name at that age, let's admit it. Most 15-year-olds are too busy making fake profiles on social media. This man was making history, and this continued for years to come. Want proof? Well, if he had a middle name, it would be Attack, because his aggressive style is what's won him 13 French Open titles, 2 Wimbledon titles, 4 US Open titles, and 2 Australian Open titles. Oh, and may I add that he's also won multiple Olympics gold medals and ATP Tour Masters?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
But you're probably wondering why I'm listing down all his achievements. Well, isn't it obvious? It's because it's important to pay tribute to his legacy before he decides to step out of the limelight. And hey, I'm not making this up. As much as Rafael would like to continue, certain circumstances are getting in his way, and that's hastening his desire to retire. Now, you're probably wondering what I'm talking about. Well, haven't you heard? Nadal's health conditions are making it harder for him to play. Right now, Nadal is thrilling the world with his exceptional performance in South America. Haven't you heard? He's on tour with Casper Ruud. But these might be our final glimpses of the Spaniard in the limelight, mostly because it seems as if he's all set to follow in the footsteps of his friend Roger Federer into the world of the ordinary. Remember the tears he had in his eyes at Roger's retirement ceremony? Well, yeah, that might be because he was seeing a glimpse of his very own future. And it's not like he wants to retire.
Just turn it around in your favor. Did that volley hit the tape, Roger? It slowed it down a little bit, didn't it?
Hence the tears. The man simply doesn't seem to have a choice, because his passion for the sport may be limitless, but his body has its limits. If you're wondering what we mean by this, well, even last season, his knee kept getting worse. But despite this, his spirit remained relentless. He was back again, all fired up. But then, recently, at the second round of the Australian Open, his foot injury interfered with his game, and he experienced what was perhaps the biggest defeat of his career in the last 7 years.
Hit an extra ball, and then another extra ball, and then another extra ball.
It seems as if this is a recurring problem in his career, and it might just put an end to it. But you're probably wondering what Rafa has to say about all of this. He's bound to be impacted, right? Well, the star has a lot more to deal with right now.
It's not a job that you're going to do it for 50 years, but I want to enjoy it as much as I can when I still have the chance.
Rafa reveals that he has other things in his life that are just as important as tennis. In a recent interview, Rafa had a few very interesting things to say about his retirement. But if you ask me, he's just trying to make lemonade out of the lemons life is handing him. But then he also mentioned that there are things in his life that hold as much value as the sport, so retiring won't leave him with an identity crisis. Good for you, champ. If I'm being fully honest with you all, it almost feels as if his heart is not aligned with this decision. And hey, these aren't just assumptions, y'all. He was teetering on the edge of retirement last year too, but the world knows of his breathtaking comeback on the 2022 ATP Tour. But then again, his luck is bound to run out at some point. So far, his performance has been weaker than the previous seasons, and it's been a shame to witness. The tennis legend obviously wants to leave on a high note. He has a legacy to maintain after all. Would we really be surprised if, despite what his heart wishes, the Spanish player is forced to finally give in to the needs of his body? And we're not the only ones discussing this, folks. Rafa's retirement has been a hot topic in the tennis world. Many important personalities have shared their thoughts on the subject, and this includes John McEnroe. Let's look at what McEnroe had to say about Rafa's potential retirement. Okay, so this might be good news for all of us who are in no mood to bid farewell to our favorite player.
Well, that's the only thing that means that I am very old.
But amongst all the rumors about Rafael's retirement, McEnroe actually had something hopeful to say. Hey man, he's a 7-time Grand Slam winner and a former world #1 champion. We have got to take his input seriously. And this man is of the view that, while it's true that Spain's raging bull can't keep raging for another decade, he's still going to keep up the fight until he can perform. Then again, it's not like Rafa hasn't surprised us with his comeback in the past. McEnroe didn't even expect him to perform this well last season either, but we all know how that turned out.
And it's only the third game.
But the hands, the athleticism.
But despite the optimism, McEnroe also managed to be a tad realistic. He doesn't have blindfolds around his eyes, and he's not ignoring the graying hair on Rafa's head. He knows very well that Nadal isn't a player who can live with being the 9th best or the 10th. The minute he's not on the top, he'd want to go. And that's genuinely miserable news for even those like John, because believe it or not, John has always looked up to the King of Clay. We're not making this up. He literally confessed that Rafa was his inspiration to get better. Perhaps that's why it's so hard for him to accept that Nadal's days are numbered. But McEnroe isn't the only one coming to terms with this. Even Boris Becker has accepted that we're nearing the end of the King of Clay's reign. Now, if you're familiar with the world of sports, you'd know that this guy is literally the Jimmy Fallon of the sports industry, especially when it comes to sports gossip. Okay, I'm kidding, but he's a sports expert, that's for sure. And when experts verify something, who are we to deny it, right? Well, if you agree with the above statement, then you'd also have to accept that the end of Rafa's reign is inevitable. In fact, it's just around the corner, and Becker believes this too. The commentator recently announced that Rafael's recent loss in the second round of the Australian Open was the first step towards retirement. Yikes. Our hearts aren't ready to bid farewell at all, because even Boris agrees with us that this man has been one of the most important sportsmen in the last 25 years. But hey, he can't play until he's 40. Gotta give some time to the missus too, of course, and his health. Legends like Rafa come once in a lifetime, and no matter what is to come next, we can't deny the fact that he's really served the industry. It has been an honor to witness him play, but it looks like his time is up. He's already revealed it's time to retire soon, and on that sad note, I am also going to bid you farewell. For now, see you next time.